Welcome. Welcome to this live. I'm Alice Hadi, Lemurian Priestess, Starseed Guide, and Light Language Activator. Today, I'm going to share with you how Lemurian Healing will help you to quantum shift and jump timeline. And we will see what else want to flow through as I'll be channeling this frequency for you. I will also invite you to be open to receive the frequency that is coming through. What I'm channeling here are not just words, but activation codes, healing frequency, and energy transmission. So be open to the energy that's here to support you. Receive, receive, receive. Before we start, one thing that I really want to clear up is a lot of times when people hear Lemurian healing, the first thing that came to their mind is like, oh, I must be a Lemurian for me to actually do a Lemurian healing. Meaning to say, if I'm not a Lemurian, then, or I don't resonate with Lemurian, then I cannot benefit from that. No. So that's a misconception. Lemurian healing basically means we are working with the energy of Lemuria. Naturally, a lot of people who are drawn to Lemurian healing have a remembrance of, or at least a resonance to the energy of Lemuria. That's why they're attracted to the Lemurian healing. However, it's not a prerequisite. And I will give you an analogy. For example, just because you work with Buddha or Yeshua, it doesn't mean that you must have had an incarnation or lifetime with them. It doesn't mean that you must be the disciple of Yeshua for you to work with Yeshua, right? You can work with Yeshua regardless of your background or your past incarnation or your memory or whatsoever, right? Because these are just expression of the divine, whether you want to call it Lemuria or something else. In the end, it is part of the expression of the divine, and everyone has access to it and everyone can benefit from it. So no, you don't have to be a Lemurian to experience Lemurian healing. And even when we are working with Lemurian healing, it doesn't mean that we only work with Lemuria energy, because that is so limiting. The way I conduct Lemurian healing, at least in my way, the way that I have received the download, because you might find other people calling it Lemurian healing and everyone might do it a little bit differently. So I am not commenting on that. What I'm sharing here today is the way I received this download, the way I channel and being activated to the Lemurian healing on my end and my experience with clients. So when I do Lemurian healing, yes, the primary energy I'm working with is Lemurian. That is like the fundamental of the healing session, where the fundamental core energy is Lemurian being the pillar. And there are a lot of different elements of Lemuria that I've covered in other videos, so I'm not going to go dive in details for today. But for today, I want to share more on how the healing can help you. So as I was sharing, right, Lemurian healing, the primary core is we are using and working with the Lemurian energy, but then we are open, because it's always about offering and surrendering and letting the divine flow through us and see whatever that is being channeled. So beyond Lemuria, sometimes and a lot of times, other things come true. And it is oftentimes also depending on the client. So for example, one of my clients has a strong connection with Mintaka. I personally do not resonate as much with Mintaka, but because she has a strong connection to it, that energy came through because her guides want to support her. Her star family wants to support her. And similarly, some of them who might resonate more with Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, or other ascended being or other star family angels, fairies, you know, whatever name you want to call it, they will come through for that specific healing as and when it is needed. So it is not a restrictive thingy. That said, because we are primarily working with Lemurian healing energy, it does activate a lot of soul remembrance journey. Meaning a lot of you who might not have any memory of Lemuria, after a Lemurian healing might actually remember your past life in Lemuria, or remember your starseed name even, or meet your star family in Lemuria, or simply, you know, like remember your mission, your starseed codes, your gift, and why you are here in this lifetime. It might be resonating with Lemuria, it might be something else. And actually a lot of people have more than one lifetime, meaning Lemuria is like one of the many lifetimes you might have. Like I know I have more than Lemurian timeline. I just resonate the most with Lemurian timeline now. That's why I'm doing the Lemurian healing work. But I also resonate with other timeline, if that makes sense. How does Lemurian healing help you to quantum shift and jump timeline on a quantum level? This is the sexiest part, and it goes beyond traditional coaching, therapy, or even other healing modality sometimes. I'm not saying that one is better than the other. I'm just saying that they are different and they all have different role to play, and you need different thing at different time. Sometimes you need therapy, sometimes you need coaching, sometimes you need Lemurian healing, sometimes you need something else, right? Not one is better on the other, so don't get me wrong on that one. That said, Lemurian healing work on quantum level. We are not working on surface level, you know. It is not about logical, it is not about linear, it is really working on multidimensional. We are shifting on the cellular DNA fiber level. So with Lemurian healing, what essentially happened is we go beyond the mind. So unlike coaching, which a lot of time we are still working with the mindset, this goes beyond that. So you don't even have to intellectualize anything. You don't even have to understand anything, because your soul knows. Similarly, you know, it is not something that you talk it through in a therapy session. It's not something that you intellectualize in your mind. It's not something you talk it through. It's something that transcends time and space, beyond the mind, body, heart, and soul, yet at the same time integrating healing on all levels. It's the way of this being approached is that we are approaching on the quantum level, which actually is very holistic and very comprehensive. But because we are approaching it on quantum level, everything else shifts. This is what I mean. So when we are working with Lemurian healing, we are quantum shifting and jumping timeline. So you are jumping and entering into a new timeline. Okay? So in this new timeline, all your previous problem, quote unquote, you know, problems that you think exist, simply dissolve. So you literally jump into a timeline where that problem doesn't even exist. So there is nothing to solve, nothing to fix, nothing to try so hard to, as opposed to the traditional way of healing where we are constantly finding what is the root cause, what is wrong with you, let's fix that, let's fix this, and we spend forever and forever tracing beyond the line and the lineage, and it's never ending, and you are still stuck working on the same thing. So what we do is instead we jump timeline into a timeline where all of this doesn't exist. And this is what I mean. So when you jump into your highest timeline at this moment, so first and foremost, we have multiple timelines and we can tap into those different timelines, okay? So when you jump into your highest timeline at this point, which is different, by the way, from your highest timeline next week, because you shift, the world shift. But your highest timeline at this point, you are naturally shifting into a higher vibration or higher frequency. And because everything is energy and your internal world is what creates your external world, right? When you are vibrating in a higher frequency from your higher timeline, naturally, your old problem, all programming, all limiting belief have to dissolve because it's a different frequency. This is a very basic law of attraction, like attract likes. So if you are on a higher vibration, naturally your old problem will no longer exist because it has to drop. It's no longer a match. So when you jump from this timeline to this timeline, everything else that doesn't match it has to drop. That's why timeline jumping is so important. When you jump timeline, literally you dissolve things without even trying. And I experienced that so many times. Like literally, I just experienced it this week. Yesterday, I hosted a healing session on forgiveness, and we were working with Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, the Mother Mary, and the Rose Ally, working on deep quantum healing. And I came out of the session feeling like I've never ever felt before. I felt so rejuvenated. It's like, I don't even know I can feel that way. It's like, it's not the first time I feel rejuvenated, but it's like a new level of rejuvenation that I have never felt because it's like a new timeline. And a lot of things that used to matter to me no longer matter. I just suddenly realized that, oh my God, I no longer care about this thing. I no longer care about that thing. And I didn't even try to fix or do anything about me. Like literally, I'm like, who is that person yesterday? Who is that girl? That is the kind of quantum shifting I'm talking about and timeline jumping. Now, in case you're like, okay, but what is timeline? So basically, your highest timeline is where you are embodying your highest mission and vision on earth. So it is where you actually are remembering who you are, why you are here, and what you are meant to do. And you are actually living that out. You are living your highest timeline. In simplicity, that is what it is. And you are constantly evolving that. So that's how Lemurian Healing actually help you to jump timeline and quantum shift in a way that goes beyond the mind, so that you no longer intellectualize it on the mind level like you did with coaching, or talk it through like you did with therapy, or just working on a very surface level healing. We are talking about deep healing on multi-dimensional level, across timeline, across lifetime. And you don't even need to understand. That is how powerful it is. And the other thing about Lemurian Healing is that just because we jump timeline, it does not mean we are spiritual bypassing. Okay, so this is not about, oh my God, I don't want to feel what I feel, so let's just jump timeline so that all the problems disappear. It doesn't really quite work exactly that way, at least not in the way that your human mind perceives it. When you shift into a new timeline, this is what happens. So yeah, you shift into a new timeline and then you are very happy, you are very at peace, very at bliss, you are loving this new timeline. Your ego mind, not so much. Because your ego mind is like, what is this place? This is new. This is unfamiliar. I'm not comfortable. I don't feel safe. I don't know what is this new reality, new vibration. I don't like it. And then your ego mind will try to protect you and pull you back to your old timeline. How many of you can resonate with this? You know, like how I thought I just had a breakthrough, and why is this old habits, old belief systems start coming up again? Haven't we done this before? It's kind of like that. That's the ego mind at play. So even though we are jumping timeline, in quantum healing, in Lemurian healing in this case, when you are in your new timeline, you might actually momentarily slide back to your old timeline just out of habit and lack of consciousness. But then the good news is you can then shift back again into the new timeline. It takes awareness. Now, when you find yourself sliding back to your old timeline, chances are you're going to have a lot of feelings coming up, or rather emotions. Anger, frustration, uneasiness, anxiety, whatever. And that is an opportunity. It is a blessing. When you have all those emotions coming up, it's like, oh my God, great. Now we can do multi-dimensional clearing. Let's clear them up with Lemurian healing. So now that I have all this old stuff coming up, let's clear it up so that we can leave this old timeline and jump again into the new timeline. So there is no spiritual bypassing here. So just want to make that clear. So this is kind of in general how the Lemurian healing can help you in quantum shifting, in multidimensional clearing, and in jumping timeline, essentially remembering who you are, why you are here, and what you are meant to be doing. And as I was sharing, a lot of times it is awakening on a deep level. You are awakening like your soul gift, your double mission, your purpose, and allowing yourself to embody and live that. And sometimes you remember your Lemurian time. Sometimes you remember another timeline. It doesn't always have to be Lemuria. Lemurian healing is simply a gateway for your soul remembrance, healing, and awakening journey. So for me, for example, ever since I worked with the Lemurian healing energy, I started having glimpses of my Lemurian past when I was a Lemurian priestess. And I not only saw myself, I feel it at every inch of my body, at every fiber of my cells. I feel how I feel when I actually use my voice for healing. So I caught a glimpse of my Lemurian past where I was using my voice to do Lemurian toning and Lemurian healing and literally transmuting darkness into light. And I felt so much power rising from my body, and I can feel that this is not even mind, it's the divine. And that feeling of power is something I cannot fake it. You know, it's something I felt at every inch of my body when I have that remembrance journey. And now that I feel it once, I can come back to this feeling again and again. And because of this feeling, I call back all my power. I start to own my power. I start to own my voice. I start to own my message and share this gift of Lemurian healing with the world, this magic of light language with the world, and all the other things that I'm doing and sharing with the world. Before that remembrance journey though, before I had that moment that I was sharing with you, I used to doubt myself a lot. And also I wasn't very confident with using my voice, because I always thought, oh, my voice sounds weird, I don't sing well and whatever. But ever since I had that remembrance and awakening and activation, it's like, oh my God, I'm showing up differently on live session, on my healing session, on my talks, on my light language. I started to sing my light language even. Like, it's like, oh, this is a new person. Because, you know, like, yes, we can visualize, but at the end, it's about the feeling. And that remembrance is what gives you the feeling. And this is why it's so powerful when you can remember your Lemuria timeline or any other timeline that you need. You don't have to remember everything even, you know. You will be guided to remember what you need at this time that will serve you at this time and going forward. That is what Soul Remembrance Journey is about, and that is what awakening really is. It's just about remembering. It's not about like ascending, going up there or somewhere. Speaking of that, that's another thing. When we are jumping to higher timeline, a lot of time people thought that, oh my God, you are trying to reach something that is up there, but it's not like that, because It is not linear. Remember, we are working on the quantum. Nothing is linear, nothing is logical. So highest timeline doesn't mean it's like, oh, I'm trying to reach for the sky. But rather, it's just like literally existing right here, right now. Like right here, right now, there are a lot of buffet on the table and you get to choose one of them that you like the most, your favorite food now. It's not out there, up there, it's here and now, and you get to slide, drop, and just be in it. Just like that. Okay, so that's kind of like in general like how Lemurian healing can support you in your awakening, healing, and remembrance journey, especially if you are someone who resonates as being a light worker, a priestess, someone who is here to share your gift, wisdom to the world. Because I've seen it a lot of times, you know, people who gone through this Lemurian healing, they really start to own their voice, own their power, own their message. You know, they just remember specifically that moment in time. Like I had one client who specifically remember that moment before she came to earth. Like she remember exactly that soul agreement she had signed on, that she had agreed on, and what is inside, like exactly what is she meant to be here doing. Why did she choose to reincarnate here? She just remember it, and then bam, the moment she remember it, it's just like everything makes sense now. Now I know what my next step is. Now I know what I'm here to do. It was like, it's something that I can talk forever and ever, but words can only convey that much. It's something that you can feel it through your personal experience, the way I did as well as my clients did. So if you resonate with Lemurian healing, you can consider checking it out and experiencing it for yourself, because only when you experience it that it matters to you. Until you experience it, it is just something that I say or something that other people say. So you feel called to DM me and we can see how we can support you with the Lemurian healing and more. And if you haven't already, you can also check out my other video on Lemurian, where I talk more about the different elements of Lemurian. Also, if you have any questions about today's video, drop it in the comment and I will answer them later. And I will see you around, sending you lots of love and light.